So everyone and their mother wants to talk about a real estate crash. Great. My most favorite thing to talk about. Not. But I am going to talk about in this video, how do I think it could happen? Obviously, everyone wants to talk about 0809, how that happened. Well, it's not going to happen the same way. So how would it happen if it's going to happen here in the future? So I'm going to talk about that today. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Talk Real Estate. I'm your host, Mark Cannon, local realtor here in the Phoenix area with my home group real estate and owner of the Benchmark Real Estate team. So as always, this is Real Talk Real Estate. I'm here in my brokerage's office. People have asked me what this thing is right here. I don't know. I don't. But guys, as always, I'm here to be real. I'm here to be transparent with you. I'm not trying to sell you on anything, just trying to give you information. Most of the people who listen to my channel are my clients or potential clients because I'm just trying to be helpful. I'm trying to give you accurate information of what's going on right now. So everyone and their mother wants to talk about a crash. And obviously, the stock market crashed a little bit ago, or crash, I guess you could say. I don't know. Like it had a major dump, the tariffs, lots of different things. And maybe by the time this gets released, some of that stuff's been resolved. I don't know. This is the beginning of April. But it's one of those that a lot of people have been talking about real estate crash. And listen, some of these people have been talking about it for a long time. So the first thing I always want people to talk about, motivations. So if there are content creators or people in the news industry, they want you to click on stuff because that's how they make money. When you view their video, when you like their video, when you share their videos, they make money on that stuff. So that is their motivation, to get you to click on it, to get you to panic. They love to use fear. And listen, I'm not saying a crash can't happen. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying that things aren't unaffordable, especially here in Phoenix. There's a lot of unaffordability here in Phoenix with prices being high. We're seeing prices come down right now. We're in a buyer's market. I believe we're in a correction right now. And because real estate's cyclical, it goes up, it goes down. A lot of years it went up. That's great, but it's probably going to go down this year. So it's one of those that, for me, I'm a realist with that stuff. Like if I see data that's showing that we're going to crash, I tell everybody we're going to crash because I see the data. We haven't seen that yet. Now I did a video a couple weeks ago, released it a couple weeks ago on like that Wall Street Journal story, and that was done in February. And I haven't seen any other information since then about, are there mortgages that the government's been paying and they haven't been telling us about it? I'm going to do a screencast today. I'm going to talk through some of the things I'm seeing so that way you guys can see what I'm seeing. And if we have information change, then I'll do another video and I'll record it. So that way we know what's changing, what's happening. But for me, I'm looking at the data we have now. And, that Wall Street Journal article in February talked about, the former administration was paying off people's mortgages like over $1 million and they're delinquent, all this stuff. But I haven't seen any proof of it yet. And if there is proof of that, that is very concerning. And that could crash the market. Because what happens with the market and how it could crash, I'm going to talk about it today, is what things would you need for a crash to happen? And I'll just tell you right up front, there's 3 things you need. There's 1, a flood of inventory. You need a flood of inventory like we had back in 0809. 0809, we had all the subprime mortgages and then the delinquencies, and then you had foreclosures, short sales, all this kind of stuff, to where it flooded the market with probably over 40,000 homes on the market, right? Where a normal market here at that time was about 25,000 homes. So you had tons of flooding in the market. That's the first thing you would need. Second thing you need is economic failure. So you would need the economy to just tank. You need it to completely fail, which would then lead to the third thing, which is you have high unemployment. So the 3 things you would need is flood of inventory, economic failure, massive economic failure, and then you'd also need high unemployment. Unemployment's still pretty low. I believe we're under 5% still, which you would need double digits of unemployment, and so a lot of people have different opinions on that of, would we need 12% or would we need 20%? Like, we would need major things to happen, because 0809 did not just happen on its own. Like, just because it wasn't just subprime mortgages, there was lots of things that happened. Subprime mortgages was just a major piece of it, where it was fluctuating loans. Well, what happened after that? They changed all the standards. Lending standards completely changed. We have a third of the amount of lenders we did in 2010. Because so many people got out of the industry because the industry standards changed. So, and we're having some of that with real estate. Last year, we had some real estate industry standards change, and we're seeing people get out of the industry because a lot of real estate agents aren't doing deals. I heard a stat in 2023, 40% of agents didn't do deals. Now, it's probably skewed a little bit with part-time agents, but it's one of those that, to me, there's a lot of inactivity in the market with real estate agents. So, it's one of those that those 3 things would need to happen. So we're going to talk through some of those things. So the first thing we talk about is a flood of inventory. Like here in Phoenix, a normal market is supposed to be about 20 to 25,000 homes on the market at one time. Today, we're sitting around just over 25,000. So we're right there. Now, we haven't seen this since like 2013, 2014, I think was the last time we saw this kind of inventory. So it's been a hot minute. But we've gained, in the past year, we've gained thousands. Probably 4,000 or 5,000. We were probably about 20,000 this time last year. I'll have to go back and look. If I can find it, I'll throw it on the screen. But some of the things we're going to look at today is, okay, what else would need to happen? So we said a flood of inventory when it comes to homes. All right, so that's the first thing. We would need probably 40,000 plus homes on the market here in Phoenix. Again, because real estate's local, it's not national. I was asking, I'll show you this. I was asking Grok about like what a crash is. So when you do that, like it talks about 20% or more, but then there's other places that said 33%. And that's probably the number I would be closer to is you need to see 33% loss to call it a crash. But then there's places that saw 50%. So like, again, every part of the country in 0809 got affected differently. Like Phoenix, I'm pretty sure it was near the 50% mark. I'm pretty sure it was a lot of homes that lost 50% equity, whereas other parts of the market may have only seen 20% correction or 33% correction. Every market's different. So a crash is going to mean something different in every market. But this is the Wall Street Journal article I was talking about. So it came out in February. It was February 23rd. And what it talks through, and I'm not going to read through all of this, okay? But what it talks through is it talks through that if you look here, the percent of people with their debt to income at 43% has risen. And part of that is because home prices have risen drastically. That's why debt to income has raised so much. But it's also because people aren't being good with money. People aren't saving money anymore. They're just not. They're spending it out the wazoo. The government's doing it. People are doing it. And it's a problem. And so I'm going to talk through a little bit of that today too, because that's some of the things that are kind of wind up. So like we would need a lot of homes on the market, which would be from people selling, foreclosures, things like that. But then we start talking about foreclosures. Let me make this smaller. So when we start talking about foreclosures, let's understand the graph here. So this is foreclosures. Here's 07 going all the way to here. I'll move myself over here so you can see. Going all the way to 2024. So 0809, right? Massive numbers of foreclosures. This is where we are today. We're not even close. Not even close. So that's where, like, when they were talking about in the Wall Street Journal article about, the Biden administration was, not to say names, sorry, but they were saying the last administration was paying for all these mortgages and hiding it to not show delinquencies because they were trying to whistle through the graveyard on the economy was better than it was. Which, again, I want to see proof of that. I don't want to just see a story about it. I want to see proof. So, but when we look at foreclosures, we're not even close on the amount of homes. And part of that's because so many people have so much equity in their home. So we have a lot of people that have like 40% equity, or 40%. There's a lot of people that have 50% equity in their home. It's like 60, 70% of people in the United States have 50% equity in their home. And so that number might be a little bit smaller, and that may not be 70%. It was 70%. It might be closer to like 50 or 60%. But that's still a lot of people that have equity in their home. 40% of people own their home outright. That's a lot. So it's the people who are going to struggle are the people who bought a home in the past 3 years. If they're trying to sell, they may not have equity, depending on how much money they put down. So, that's where if people put the minimum amount down, there's going to be a problem for them. So that's why I tell people buy a house and expect to live in it for 10 years. Because in 10 years, you can make money on your house. You can gain equity. So the foreclosures, we just don't have a lot of foreclosures right now. It's at a low rate compared to where we were in 08, 09. The other thing that people have been talking about, so this is kind of what I was talking about with FHA delinquencies. So this is the FHA delinquency chart. This is what I got from the FHA's website. So this came out, this is the last, they're always like a quarter behind, I guess. So this is December 2024. So they're showing there's this many mortgages, 7.8 million, and here's delinquency, 30-day delinquent, 60-day delinquent, 90-day delinquent. So these are the ones I'm most concerned about, 3.51. But when you look at these numbers, it's come up, sure, since last year, beginning of the year, the numbers have risen. Okay, they have. But are they drastic? No. When we go back, so let me go back to the previous year. So previous year, when we go seasonally adjusted, it was higher in 2022. Look at that. 2022, all the numbers were higher and they came down. Let's look at 2021 real quick. 2021 to 2022, seasonally adjusted. Wow, way higher. Now, that is COVID right there to me. That's COVID numbers. And you can keep going back. You can go back every year to see what the delinquency rates are. I'm looking at 90-day delinquency rates. A lot of people are going to combine these numbers, right? So they're going to combine, 4%. That's 5%. Then it's 10% of people. But what if people are selling their home right here and they're just not paying their mortgage? Like, that's where, to me, I'm trying to look at all of the data. I'm not just trying to look at some of it. People give you those numbers of 10%, 11% of people are delinquent on their loans. Okay, but how many of those are actually going to foreclosures? Look at these foreclosures numbers. Let me go back to the most recent one, 2024, seasonally adjusted. Where's foreclosure? This is foreclosure. This is bankruptcy. That is not a lot. Again, the numbers are low. Now, these are national numbers, okay? These are not a lot of numbers. So, again, the three things that would need to happen to have a crash: lots of inventory across the nation. We would need high unemployment. We would need economic crash. Those are the things that would need to happen to have another crash right now. And we're not seeing that. Like I've been hearing things with the tariffs right now that countries are coming to bat and they're going to start leveling out. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. This might play out more by the time I release this video. But I think some of the things that are concerning, though, and I will say this, I am concerned with certain things. And one of the things I'm concerned with is debt. Because not just the government's spending out the wazoo, and we need to keep cutting waste and fraud and all that stuff. But you look at the amount of credit card debt in the country. The amount of credit card debt, Arizona's number 15. Average credit card debt, $6,300. You look at the highest, $7,300. I mean, people are taking out debt like crazy. If you look at car loans, right? You look at car loan debt. Oh, is that going to open up for me? Here it goes. You look at car loan debt, it's in the trillions. It's just drastically rising. I couldn't find a chart for it, but I read that delinquency rates on car loans is they're repossessing cars because people can't make the payments. Some of those payments are like $1,500 a month. It's crazy. And that's where people need to start saving money. That's the thing that kills me, is people need to start saving money again. We can't just keep spending. People looked at the past 10 years and were like, it was so easy to buy a home. Yeah, because interest rates were so crazy low. We're probably not going to see that again. Guess what? The normal interest rate is probably going to be around 5 to 6%. That's probably what it's going to be. And if that's the case, prices are going to come down some areas. Like right now, Texas, Florida, Arizona, prices are coming down. But then there's other places where it's going up because there's demand, because the affordability isn't an issue. But I do believe there are places in this country where affordability needs to be balanced. And you'll see prices come down in Arizona. And then as interest rates come down, you'll hit a happy medium where people can start affording it. Once people are like, oh, I could pay $2,500, $2,700 for my mortgage. Yeah, I could do that. And you'll see people start buying again. So at some point, people will start buying again. But right now, prices are coming down. Interest rates were coming down. They've jumped back up. The 10-year treasury is kind of all over the place because of the tariffs and stuff. But it's one of those that, as far as how a crash could happen, it's those three things again. Is we need crazy amounts of inventory across the country, not just in some states, in all states. We would need to see a crazy amount of inventory. We would need to see high unemployment. We would need to see an economic crash where people are losing their jobs. I mean, all those things play in together. It could happen. It totally could. But all of them would have to happen at once, not just one individually. So, I would say, I take that back. I would say that if you have a high number of homes come on the market, even without those other things, you'll see prices come down a good amount. But at some point, there's so many people that want to buy, demand's going to catch up to it. So, to me, the crash talk is just it's crazy. People want to talk about it because it gets clicks, all that crap. And listen, look at the right information. Look at all the numbers. I'm trying to give you all the data I can. So if you have questions and stuff, let me know. I'd love to talk with you about it. Listen, some of these, the new builds, some of those builders are not doing well. They're in debt a lot. There's so many different things happening. I'm trying to take in all the data so I can share it with people because, listen, if I knew a crash was coming, I'd tell you. I know stuff's unaffordable and prices are coming down because of that. So whether more happens, we'll have to see. But if you have questions on this, you want to sit down, you want to talk about your situation, whatever it is, reach out to me. My information's below. I'm here to help, here to serve. It's real estate through relationships. I'm not here trying to, get you to do something. I'm just trying to be helpful however I can. Because for me, there's just so much stuff on TikTok, on social media, on the news that you don't know what to believe. I'm trying to just be honest with you, transparent with you, to show you what I can see as far as data, because I'm trying to look at all the data in our local market here in Phoenix. So I'm here to help. Guys, you've been listening to Real Talk Real Estate. I'll catch you next time.